The following conversations are taken from our channel membership exclusive weekly live show that we do on Saturdays from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time called Members Talk Live. Find out how you can become a member and appear on the show. All of the information is down in the description below, as well as all of the links to the channels of today's guests. Check them out, and I hope to talk with you very soon. For today's topic, since it's September, since the summer movie season is basically officially over, kids are going back to school, life is slowing down, we're going to talk about what we thought were the best and what were the worst entries of this summer movie season. So let's just bring in our guests. Let's bring in our beloved channel members. We got Frank, as always. What's going on, man?
Not too bad. Celebrating the end of the summer with movies we love and movies we didn't love too much.
Yeah, it didn't fully work for us. And we're also here to discuss with us. We've got Dark Movies. What's going on, my man?
I'm doing amazing. Just I think I have a list. People are going to be questioning, I guess.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that, man. We're gonna keep it loose. We're gonna keep it fun. We're just gonna have some fun conversations, discussions. I personally, I mean, I'm sure this goes for a lot of you guys too. I have not seen everything this summer. Like this summer season was just insanely packed with movies. Like definitely because of the pandemic, a lot of stuff moved from like 2020, 2021 got pushed to 2023, and we definitely saw the effects of that this summer. But I think what I want to start off with first, going off of that, like the summer movie season was just bonkers, as I mentioned. What were you guys feeling before going into the movie season this summer? Were you excited? What stood out to you? What was your most anticipated movie for this summer? Don't tell us if it ended up being your best, but what were you most anticipating, and how were you looking at the summer movie season? We'll start with you, Frank.
Yeah. Obviously, I mentioned this many times in just previous live, but with my love on superhero movies, like movies like Across the Spider-Verse was my most anticipated. Next to that was, and I didn't know about this until like the end of May, like right before summer started, was No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, which came out
Right.
in July. So we got good superhero movie and a comedy movie. Like all I needed was just a horror movie to just go with it, and I already got my personal holy trinity with me to make the summer just at least the most memorable for 2023. But unfortunately, and that was the movie Talk to Me, but I never got to see that.
Oh
So
man.
I know.
Uh,
And it's so funny because one of the weird things about it is that in depending on the area where you live and the movie theater that you live nearby, they don't premiere all the anticipated movies uh in specific locations. So what I do is I travel to Albany, New York, which is the nearest IMAX where I go watch movies that are worthy for me to see on IMAX. And then I have the local movie theater, which is a couple of screens, not as much as the one in Albany. And Talk to Me was not playing here locally at all. It was playing in Albany, and I did not schedule a time for me to even drive out there to go see it. So I really missed that opportunity. And the only film as far as horror that I could replace it with was The Last Voyage of the Demeter, that I got to see out
Nice.
out there. Yeah. So um, either way, it's been quite an interesting summer, and yeah, as far as movie goes for me.
Perfect. And we actually have a new member joining us. Our beloved channel member Ken gifted a channel membership for the month to Jason from Screen Zen. What's going on, man?
Hey
Sweet.
guys, what's going on? Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to
For
have you here,
that.
man. Welcome. Thank you
Boom.
for joining us today. It's nice to meet you. We're meeting for the first time. I'm Zach.
Definitely.
I've seen you in the chat, so I definitely appreciate all the support that you've given to our channel, man. And it's great to have you here. So we're just talking about the summer movie season, the best, the worst of it. Not really given like any top fives or top tens. We're just kind of going to talk about best and then a worst and then best and then a worst. But we're starting off with asking about going into the movie summer season. How were you feeling? Like, what was your most anticipated movie for the summer? Did it look as packed to you as it did to us, man? Like, how are you feeling going into this movie summer season?
Yeah, so I mean, the summer movie season for me, it really just kind of hinged on everything that I was seeing in the world, like the strikes and everything, and kind of
Mm,
seeing which ones kind of floated above. Obviously, the whole Barbieheimer thing. So on my channel, I did a little a review of Barbie, but for that movie, it was like the first of its kind of seeing, like, the toy line being made into a movie, especially Barbie. Um, but I think it was exciting. I think it was exciting just because all the news happening around the movies in the theaters, and the strikes, especially. So it was kind of like seeing how that played out. But then, even as we're getting into like DCEU and the ending of that with Blue Beetle, these are some of the movies I wanted to see, if they could kind of rise above, all the noise. So I hope that made sense.
yeah, no, for sure, man. I think we all kind of felt that way, especially about Blue Beetle. If it was able
Yeah.
to make the DCEU end on a high, well, I guess it's not technically ending because we got
Right. So
Aquaman still
Aquaman.
coming,
Yep.
but Aquaman's kind of like the prologue or whatever. It's not everyone's kind of already over it, already over the DCEU. But how about you,
Yeah.
Dark Movies? How are you feeling going into this movie summer season?
So I mean, like, yeah, I'm a big like horror movie uh superhero. So of course, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That one was a big excitement for me because I loved like Into the Spider-Verse. I think that was like the best movie I've ever seen, like of Spider-Man, those Spider-Man movies. And then of course like movies like Talk to Me, absolutely like excited for that. I got lucky. I got it see in the theaters, but it sucks for you like for anybody that didn't see it. But yeah, just kind of just like Talk to Me, just Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and the whole Barbenheimer thing. Um, I honestly I couldn't care less, but I watched it. I watched the first trailer for Oppenheimer, didn't care at all. The second one actually got me excited, so I watched that, and then yeah, basically just a great month, honestly. Great month for movies.
That's awesome, man. And we got a stacked panel today, guys, because we got Ken from See for Yourself joining us in here as well. What's going on,
Nice.
Ken?
Hey, how's everybody
What's up,
doing?
man?
Doing pretty well, dude. So we're talking about the summer movie season. Before we're starting to get into our best and worst and the movies we're going to talk about here, we're just kind of going with our feelings going into the summer movie season this year. How are you feeling looking at the summer movies that we had stacked for this season? What was your most anticipated? Yeah, how were you looking at that, and what was your excitement level at?
So yeah, my most anticipated was definitely Across the Spider-Verse, and it delivered for me. And then there was several other movies that I was anticipating as well. I'm a huge Transformers fan, specifically Beast Wars, because I grew up on it in the '90s. So I was really excited to see Transformers: Rise of the Beast. And honestly, it delivered. Like, it was fun. It wasn't the greatest movie ever, but I had a great time watching. Oh yeah, and the biggest part of it was that it came out on my birthday. So I was really
Oh,
excited
cool.
for it and had been excited for it for months. So yeah, so that definitely delivered for me. And then there were a couple others as well. I want to say Fast X was something else I was really looking forward to, even though it's on the downturn and it has
Yeah.
been for quite some time, unfortunately. But yeah, so the summer movies overall, I think that despite their financial success being up and down throughout the entire summer, I don't think I was disappointed by many of the movies that I was anticipating this particular summer.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Like, I mean, that doesn't always happen. So to have a summer like
Not at
that,
all.
that's great. Before we get started with our first best option, we got DJ in here. He's in the chat joining us from afar.
Hey,
We
I
missed
got it.
having you here, man, but
Sweet.
thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you're safe and doing well, man. And it's Labor Day weekend too, so I gotta thank all you guys for being here this Labor Day weekend. I know that that's a long weekend, and people make plans and go away, and you guys are deciding to spend it here with me for an hour, so I really appreciate that. So let's get into it. We're gonna start with Frank, and then we'll go to dark movies, then Ken, and then Jason. So Frank, give us your first best. What was one of the best movies of the summer?
One of the best movies. I had to battle this out between two of my favorites. Because the first one was Across the Spider-Verse. Second one is No Hard Feelings. And we're talking, and the reason why I had to like wait this out because we're talking about two of my favorite actors, and that's Jennifer Lawrence and Oscar Isaac, who voiced Miguel O'Hara. And I had never exploded with excitement when I first heard the news way back when that Oscar was gonna play yet another Marvel superhero. Well, second superhero. He played Apocalypse, but that's for another conversation. And so after narrowing it down, I feel like Across the Spider-Verse just takes the gold for me. That's been the highlight. It's been the first. It was the first anticipated movie of the summer because it came out early in June, and it was everything that I've anticipated for months prior. So that's it for me.
Nice. Does anyone disagree? Do we think that Across the Spider-Verse is one of the worst?
Not at all.
No.
Can't say
Yeah.
that at
No,
all.
not
Yeah.
even close.
It's impossible to say it's
I
one of
didn't
the
think
worst.
so. I didn't think
We'd
so.
have to have a long conversation with whoever said it was the worst.
Right.
You might have a spider phobia if you think that's the worst.
Exactly.
How about you, dark movies? What's one of your best?
So I'm not going to say the best of the best yet, but I think I'm going to say, because you said May, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, May to August 31st. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3. It was just, honestly, it got me caring for a talking raccoon, and that's a sentence I would have never thought I would say, but yeah, I just cared for a talking raccoon, just honestly almost cheered up, and just a perfect trilogy or ending for the trilogy. Just how James Gunn can just end, like, yeah, what do you say, like just make this movie. It was just amazing, honestly.
Absolutely, man. How about you, Ken? What's one of your best?
Honestly, I would have to say Gran Turismo is one of my best. It is so damn good. It's so good. I did not expect why I think of it as highly as I do, because I wasn't expecting much from it, especially like from video games have kind of taken a little bit of a turn into like kind of being good to great recently instead of most being bad. But yeah, Gran Turismo is fantastic for a lot of different reasons, including just the human element of all of the characters involved. And I would say another one is what I just saw Thursday night, which is Bottoms. Bottoms is freaking hilarious, and funny. I cannot wait to talk about it on a review. But yeah, I would highly recommend people go see Bottoms because it's that good.
Nice, man. Nice. And Jason, what about you? What's one of your best?
So you guys pretty much said all of them, but I will go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So that was growing up watching the original films, it was so refreshing. And I think in Ken's review, actually, he mentioned very poignant point that they're actually teenagers in this one. Like, they didn't age them up. They're dealing with life, wanting to go to high school. So that's definitely on one of my top 5 for sure.
Nice, man. That's awesome. And for me, I'm gonna throw out Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yes.
I
Yes,
really
100%.
enjoyed Mission Impossible, man. I mean, like, I've enjoyed all the Mission Impossibles, but I really started to love them. I think like a lot of people did around Ghost Protocol. And then I just felt like they just got better and better and better. And I feel like they haven't topped Fallout with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I think Fallout still, like, especially as a movie theater experience, was just like, oh my goodness, what is Tom Cruise doing? This is epic. This is awesome. There were definitely moments like that in Dead Reckoning Part 1. But that movie was just a blast. I thought the action sequences, as always, were Fantastic. I love the addition of Haley Atwell. I thought she and Tom Cruise had some of the best dynamic in the Mission movies thus far. Really looking forward to seeing what they do with her further in the franchise. And it was a part one that didn't feel like it was an abrupt ending. It felt like they achieved their. You know what? A lot of these movies are on digital now, so I think we're okay to do spoilers. I think we're okay to do
Yeah,
spoilers in these talks.
for sure.
The fact that the whole point of the movie was to get this key, and they actually succeeded in getting the key in a way that was satisfying and fun to see the villain get taken down, at least for this part one, but then also definitely letting us know that there's more to this story to come. But leaving the theater feeling satisfied was just so nice, so refreshing. So I thought Mission Impossible was a great one for this summer. Does anyone want to respond to any of the ones that were mentioned before?
Well, I'll talk about Mission Impossible, especially what you're pointing about the key. I love the fact that no one knows what it does. No one knows what the MacGuffin does. So it kind of even so the MacGuffin isn't necessarily the key. The MacGuffin is what exactly does this thing do? Like, how do we actually use this thing? And I love the inclusion of AI as being the villain. My friend was watching it. He had seen it after I did. He was like, "So they're fighting Ultron in this movie?" I was like, "Well, yeah, pretty
Kind
much." But yeah, it's just such a fun movie. I watched all of them in the month of June, leading up to not for the first time, but again, leading up to Dead Reckoning, and I had a blast just watching them. Even the second one, I actually like the second one, even though it's not good. There's a difference between good and enjoyment. But yeah. So Mission Impossible was pretty fun.
We'll move on. We'll talk about some of the worst. So let's go backwards this time. We'll start with Jason. Jason, give us one of your worst of the summer.
All right. So let me see. This is kind of hard because I can see the good in almost all of them, but
Yeah.
if I have to say the worst, daggone. Are we in the right time frame for Fast X?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, so that because I honestly it was an enjoyable film. I'm not gonna lie, I did have a good time watching it. But out of the ones that I've seen over the summer since that one, I would say that would be at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just so many happening. I say for Fast X, for that franchise, it's almost like a Land Before Time situation happening. Once you get past number 3, I'm always skeptical. But like they were able to switch it up throughout that franchise, and I'm talking about like Tokyo Drift, which wasn't popular, but I actually liked it. And then some of the other iterations coming out, they were able to like do different things. I think the pinnacle was when they went to like shot it into space, the car into space. You know what I mean? And then it's like, what do you do after that? But this is the conclusion or one of the concluding movies of this franchise, it seems, because you don't know what they're going to do in the future. They might have 18 of these things, but I'm always skeptical if it goes over like 4 or 5. I just don't think. But this one kept me entertained. But at the bottom of my list, 10, because I enjoyed some of the other movies in the franchise a lot more. So, and everything else I've seen was a little bit better than this. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, I think that's totally fair. I mean, did anyone else enjoy the movie mostly because of Dante?
Yeah, he was great. He essentially played the Joker.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it was a great audition for the Joker. Ken, how about you? What's one of your worst?
Well, yeah, I'm right along with Jason. Fast X is the worst. I was looking through May just to remember like what was coming out because I did like most of the things I've seen since May. I've really enjoyed to different degrees, but I don't have anything that was just like outright, oh my God, this is horrible.
Right.
But Fast X is just not good, but it's still fun, and to your point, Jason, about like once you get past 3, 4, or 5, that's why also Mission Impossible is so impressive at 7 and still being entertaining. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, Fast X is just not on the level of anything I've enjoyed so far this summer.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I had fun with the movie for sure, but I'm not going to argue anyone that it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Dark movies. How about you? What's one of your worst?
One of my worst. Yeah. I watched like so many good ones, but there's definitely a lot of worst. But at almost bottom, not at like very very bottom, it is Meg 2. Meg 2 was just Meg 2
I
was
was waiting for
awful.
somebody to say Meg too.
Yeah.
I need to say it because like this movie, man. Like I'm actually the defender of the first one. I actually find that enjoyable. It's not great, but an enjoyable film.
Mhm.
But then I watched this in theaters, actually excited for it, and the look on my face when I left that theater. Oh God! Like the Megs, they were wasn't they like in the middle, almost just in the middle, almost not showing up.
They were
I
kind of just
remember.
like around the
Yeah,
characters, but they weren't really in the movie. It was
right,
really
right.
That's so
It was
weird.
just, yeah. And then we have a kraken. Like, what was that? What was that giant octopus kraken thing? Like, why do you have that? And then dinosaur things. Like,
it
what?
was it was like the director's audition to do a Jurassic Park movie. Like it just turned
Yeah,
it suddenly
Oh
just
my
turned
gosh.
into Jurassic Park for like the last 20
true,
minutes.
right? True. Like, just it was not good. I mean, I had a tiny bit fun, but like, still. And the logic, oh God, where was that?
Oh no, you don't go to
Where
Meg
was
for
it?
logic.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, it was just awful, honestly.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree. Anyone want to rebuttal that?
I
No,
actually
I didn't
watched
think
Meg
so.
1 in preparation for Meg 2, and then I heard how bad Meg 2 was, and that the Megs weren't even really in it, and I was like, I think I'll stay at home.
Yeah. I mean, I will say
Yeah.
for me, Meg 2 is a guilty pleasure for sure because it's awful. Like it's like nowhere can you say that that's a good movie. Like from the acting to the writing, the direction, like it's just not good in any way, shape, or form. But I had fun with it. Like I knew what I was getting into. I saw from the trailers that this was going to be schlocky and stupid and bad, and that's what I got. And I had fun with it, to be fair. But I can totally agree that it's definitely one of the worst, no doubt about it. And Frank, how about you? What's one of your worst?
Uh, yeah, the only one I can just say of the ones that I've seen throughout the summer would would just be and I don't say that this is like the worst really because it did had great great input that was placed in that style of Destiny. Yeah, Indiana Jones. And prior to it, like I've been binging on the first three films. Just prior to that, I even did a review on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I've had a blast watching those, and it gave me that excitement and that anticipation, and I went to the theaters, I saw it, and right at the third act, it took this in. It's like, okay, might as well the writers from Rick and Morty to just go ahead and like go in, or maybe I don't know, they might have provided their input to incorporate something that no one didn't ask. So yeah,
Just say it, man. Just say what it is.
I know. Yeah, we're spoiling heavily here, so why not? Time traveling, like it's for the most part, like that's a theme that everybody is enjoying. It's being incorporated in many franchise, with multiverse, with different realities and different results and outcomes and whatever. But as far as Indiana Jones, you're talking about something that started off as like an adventure, this sort of unique superhero that a lot of folks have grown up with, and other folks like me we're just getting into and admiring Harrison Ford's performance as this witty and just cunning and out there archaeologist that's afraid of snakes and all that. But throwing him into the whole mix of time traveling, going back in time, and then making a decision of like just wanting to just stay there because all these all these guilt that he has. And
Mhm.
correct me if I have that wrong, because I've only seen it that one time in theater, really. So to me, it was just me sitting there and that whole excitement just slowly decaying as I watched that third act just go by. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna piggyback on that for one of my worst. Like, everything that I saw this summer, I didn't hate any single one that I saw, but there were definitely lessers, and Indiana Jones for me was definitely a lesser as well. I thought that the beginning was like a fun Indiana kind of short fan film with him on the train with the Nazis and all that kind of stuff. The minute that Mads Mikkelsen got hit in the face with that train going at high speed and fell off, and then he just appeared in the 1960s with
Yeah.
Indy, I was like, no. Like that is where the movie lost me. I was like, no, you can't,
gosh.
you can't
Yeah.
explain this away. And
He didn't
then
even look older. That was
no, he
crazy.
didn't. He didn't even have like a scar or anything. He was totally fine. And I was like, no, this broke my brain. This doesn't work for me. And then the rest of the movie was kind of just fine. Like it felt like an imitation of an Indiana Jones movie to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then when you got to that third act, dude, that was kind of like that's where it really lost me. Because when you introduce time travel, I was like, I don't want this, but like, fine, that's what you're doing. But when you have Indiana Jones, who's like, his whole thing is a protector of history, we got to preserve it, I'm going to stay here and mess up history. Like, that did not feel like a decision at all that Indiana Jones would make. And then it felt like
Exactly.
and then you made it worse because it felt like the writers had no idea. Like, oh crap, we shot Indy. How do we get him out of this? Oh, just have a punch, fade to black, and all of a sudden he's back home. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me, how did they get him in the plane? How did they find the same exact spot to get back to the future? Like, none of it. And then let's just bring Marion in because nostalgia, and everyone will love it when they go, kiss me here, it hurts here. Like the first film. And I was like, I'm not falling for it. Like, you're not getting me with this nostalgia bait. This is just horrible writing. Like, in my opinion, I thought it was written poorly at the end there. So I'm gonna piggyback on you, man. I'm putting Indiana Jones as one of my worst as well.
Yeah, I think lazy writing is a phrase that's overused, but this was the definition of lazy writing. And actually, I would change because I forgot I even saw it until you mentioned it. I would actually change my answer from Fast X to Indiana Jones because I was actually entertained by Fast X. After the first scene, like you mentioned, Zach, that movie is just downhill and it's not good. It's not even worth not worth talking about. It's a little harsh, but it is the worst movie I've seen this summer, like without a doubt.
And it's made worse by the fact that Mangold did it. Like Mangold.
Yeah.
Like, man, dude. Everyone has a bad day at the office, I guess, but that sucks that this had to be his. All right, let's bring the positivity back around. Let's go to one of our best. Let's go to one of our best. We'll start with you, Dark Movies. What was one of your best?
Okay, now I will say the best. It is Oppenheimer. I don't know, but just the way that that movie at the end just impacted me. Like, this is actually how the world is. Like, that's actually how the world is. Like, it's just honestly, it's just a horror movie almost. Yeah, like I recently got into like a biopic kind of style, like Air, Tetris, yeah, Flaming Hot is a biopic, true.
I like Flaming Hot a lot.
Flaming Hot was fine for me. It's and I'm really excited for like the Money, Blackberry, and stuff like that. Blackberry doesn't even come out before like October, September for me. So like that's so Oppenheimer. Going into this film, I knew it was 3 hours, but it felt like, for me at least, it felt like 2 hours probably. This went really fast because I was just sitting there enjoying like what I saw. Cinematography was amazing, like just, and some of the scenes, I can't lie, I just got jump scared by some of the scenes when like movie got so like just the sound was all the way down on the boom. Jeez. So yeah, Oppenheimer was probably one of my best movies of summer. Honestly, I will say this, probably the best movie of this year.
Yeah. Nice, man. I mean, I can't wait to see it. I still haven't seen it. But
Really?
I've heard nothing but great
Oh.
things though. Well, that was the weekend my car broke down. I had my pink shirt.
Uh,
I was on my way to see Barbie. I had my pink shirt on. I was ready to go. I was gonna go by myself. And I was driving up the hill. The car breaks down. Had to get towed back. I'm on the side of the road in a pink shirt, just waiting to get picked up. And yeah, I just never made it out to see that one or Barbie. But I heard nothing but great things, and the more that you talk about it, man, the more I want to see it. But Jason, how about you? What's one of your best?
Okay, so one of my best, I definitely am going to go with. Let me see which one here. I know. I think it was Dark that said it, but the Guardians. That's definitely on the one of the
yeah,
tops for me.
100%.
So I mean, I remember the first Guardians. I saw that like 5 times in theaters. So this is one of the franchises that I was looking to see how James Gunn was going to wrap up, and I think he did a great job. Just Rocket, just goes without saying. That was like I was tearing up in the theater. You know, just powerful cinema, and you know, I think that given that this was his like last hurrah, that he did a great job with it. He didn't get lazy with it. He wasn't like, screw you, Disney, I'm gonna, you know, join Warner Brothers and now leave you with a dud, right? So he actually, because it's his baby, he took care of it, and it was good to see. So that's one of my tops, 100%.
Nice, man. Yeah, I definitely. It worked better for me on a second watch. I have it now,
Mm.
so I watched it again, and there were some things in there that definitely weren't James Gunn's fault, but just kind of didn't work for me. Like Gamora being part of the Ravengers. I
Right,
didn't
right.
full.
So
I needed
yeah,
more. I needed more there because I didn't think the Ravengers was just a club where if you knocked on their door, they just let anybody in. And it I was like, how exactly did she join this group? And they never really touched upon that.
right.
So there was some stuff like that that kind of.
I honestly think that Gunn had to find a reason how to get the band back together.
Oh, he absolutely did.
Because you know Gamora, she passed, and then you have the secondary Gamora, who I think is in the third one. This is the secondary from the
Yes,
future
this is the
or
one
from the
from
past.
Endgame. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, so it wasn't like 100% all fitting, but I think that was he had to find a reason to get the band back together for the last hurrah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think he did with what he had been given because Infinity War and Endgame were not his movies. I'm sure like
right.
they talked to him beforehand or he had some kind of input because he is an executive producer on
Mm.
those.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm sure it wasn't his plan to have Gamora be killed off. You
Right.
can kind of feel that when you watch Guardians Volume 3. So, but for what he had, I thought he did a really good job with. But let's move on to you, Ken. What's one of your best?
So one of my best is Joyride. It's a comedy starring Stephanie Sue as well as Ashley Park. It is freaking hilarious, and this also has a really dope message just about finding yourself and who you are, and the entire trip with the ladies like through China is back to back like hilarious situation after hilarious situation. So much so that it gets so raunchy that I was actually shocked by some of the things that they actually got away with to actually not give them like an X rating or anything like that because they got away with some stuff. But yeah, that movie is freaking hilarious and I highly recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't get out to see that one, but I did hear it was
Same.
pretty funny. So that's good to hear that you endorsed that, man. All right, Frank, how about you? What's one of your best?
My best at this one most folks will find it a little difficult to grasp, but that's fine. But it's actually Blue Beetle. And that came out, that came out pretty recently. I know. For me, this is after watching it, I came out of the theaters, just still, feeling validated after watching it because I truly did feel, what with George Lopez being in there, the story itself, rooting for the grandmother who was a total badass there. This is a movie that fits for everybody. Everybody just would identify a lot with Jaime, and the story, as far as the superhero story, typical superhero story goes, it works well. The villain, yeah, it is a throwaway kind of villain, not so much to care for. Like, just let the villain be defeated, and that's it. Let this hero and the family just win, because you don't get those kind of superhero movies where it's so, it's like its own band of group, and the group is like a legitimate family. um and there's heart to it also, something that DC has never tried before, and it's pretty impressive on their side. They got full points for that from me for that.
Nice, man. That's awesome. I'm glad it worked for you that much, man, because
Yeah.
it didn't work that much for me, but that's awesome. I love hearing your perspective on that. And sticking with DC, I'm going to say it, damn it. The Flash. The Flash is one of my best of the summer. I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it when I watched it on the big screen, and I recently just showed my wife it for the first time. She didn't like it as much as I did, but watching it back again on Blu-ray, I was like, I'm still having a blast. I'm still really enjoying this movie. I do think the CGI, yeah, I get it. It's like the big thing to talk about the movie. It was one of the things that stuck out to me as well when I first left it. But on a second watch, it became less distracting for me. I didn't care about it as much because I really do like the story. I really do think that they do get some of the emotional stuff done really well with Barry and his mom. The scene with them in the grocery store at the end where he is deciding that he is going to let her die because he has to fix everything is just, that scene actually worked more emotional. It worked better for me the second time I watched it than even the first time. Love seeing Michael Keaton back as Batman, even though I wish he had a little bit more to do in the movie. It was still such a joy. And Ezra Miller, I thought that Ezra Miller was great in the movie. I know some people don't think the performance by Ezra Miller is as good as I do, but when you got Ezra Miller playing off of Ezra Miller in that second half of the movie, Ezra does such a great job with that performance. I totally buy that he is playing off of another version of himself, and it's just fun. It's just such a fun movie to me. I mean, I get it. I can see some parts of why people don't like it very much. I do think the beginning's a little bit clunky, especially on a second watch. But once it gets going for me, it gets going, and I just have a blast with it. So it's unfortunate that it bombed for me, but I really enjoyed it. All right, anyone want to respond to anyone more of the best?
Yeah, so I'll actually respond to your Flash point. No pun intended. I thought Flash was really good. I really enjoyed the film. To your Ezra Miller point, I thought, just like you, he did a fantastic job making his different Barry Allens distinct. There was no confusion about which one was which, and that's more than just like the clothes they were wearing or what have you. I love the fact that the movie turned our Barry, the main Barry, into the adult in the room when dealing with the other Barry, because we usually saw Barry as like the kid of the group and he's immature and stuff like that. But once he goes to start explaining to the multiverse Barry, like, no, there's responsibility here, and you can't run this fast, and you're going to be naked in the street if you do this and stuff like that. It kind of matured him in a sense throughout the film, where you can see him becoming the hero or the leader that he needed to become throughout the movie. Now, like you mentioned, the CGI was something that bugged me more on the second watch, because I actually saw it at a screening in May. I saw it in a screening in May. So when I first saw it, it was the same CGI. So I thought, and I was with my friend when we saw it, I was like, oh, well, it's a month until it comes out. They'll fix that, and because they told us in the beginning of the screening, like, oh, this is the unfinished version, so on and so forth. So I'm thinking, oh, when we see it next time, the CGI will be fixed. So when I saw that it was the exact same and it still looked that bad, it kind of knocked me while I was watching it. I was really distracted by it. Yeah, and it didn't help that the director said that they did that intentionally, which I don't believe at all. But yeah, so the Flash, I think the Flash is a really good movie. I just think that there's some certain things about it that don't work for me, especially, well, specifically using they don't call it Flashpoint, but it's essentially what the story is a riff off of, and I don't mind riffs off of other stories, but I'd be lying if I didn't say the original Flashpoint story is leaps and bounds better than the one that they gave us. And I also don't think that the first Flash movie should be a Flashpoint movie. That's a strange choice in and of itself. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's me just being super nerdy about that. But yeah, that's it.
for sure, man. And that's really cool to hear your perspective of you got to see it early and the effects were unfinished, but then they just kept them that way. That's really interesting to hear, actually, because I wonder why they would
Yeah.
tell you that if they weren't going to change anything. I wonder if they like felt embarrassed by it, and then when they realized they couldn't do it, that's when he was like, "Ah, we did it on purpose.
I
It was
can't
purposeful."
remember what was different from the first time I saw it to the second time I saw it. So whatever was unfinished, I didn't notice a difference at all.
Interesting. Well, we'll move on to another worst. So let's just start with you, Ken. Let's just keep it going. What's one of the worst?
I'm struggling to think what another worst is. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of worst because I think, like I said, most of the movies I saw were great. I mean, I don't remember when Renfield came out. Oh, there is a worst, but it's not necessarily bad. Air. So Air, the not documentary, Air, the biopic of the gentleman who created the Jordan 1. I didn't like that movie as much as other people because I thought that the movie was focused on the wrong people. So when you have Ben Affleck's character, who's fine, and all Ben Affleck and I forget the name of
Matt
the other
Damon?
gentleman, Matt Damon, their characters are fine, and it is their story to an extent. But I thought Viola Davis's character was way more interesting than anyone else that was on that screen. Her being the matriarch, the person who essentially set up Jordan's contract and the way that NBA players will receive funds for their shoes for the rest of their lives, because it wasn't Jordan who said, I need a piece of every shoe that sold. It was his mother who did that. And he just was like,
Hmm.
oh, just follow my mom, which is fine. Follow your mom. Your mom's dope. But yeah, I thought that she was way more impactful in that movie. And I thought that, and I don't always feel this way, but knowing the outcome of the story took the drama out, the suspense out of all of the will he, won't he, like sign with us. We
Yeah.
know that he does, and they spent a lot of time on the I don't know, like that weekend that they were in the office and they were stressing. They spent about a good 10 minutes like going through like the time capsule of all this time has passed, and which was actually a weekend. So it wasn't even that long. Like I thought that all the focus was on the wrong part of the movie. It should have been on Michael Jordan's mother. I believe her name is Dolores Jordan. Oh, I don't let me I
I
hope
can't
I got
remember,
that right.
dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my other worst. It's not a terrible movie at all. It's just not as good as I believe other people believe it is.
All right, interesting. I mean, I definitely liked it more than you do, but I do agree that it's a little bit overrated. But let's go with you, Jason. What's one of your worst? Another worst.
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat as Ken. I'm not sure what I could label a worst, but I will, if I can, talk about a worst that others have said. So specifically, Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Actually, seen this movie, but the reason being is because, again, the sequels, the subsequent sequels, like a pretty much same reason for the Fast X. Once they get to a certain point, they usually just stop caring about the IP. But I'm actually I feel bad for Harrison Ford that this was not
Mm-hmm.
a success. I
Yep.
thought that, because this
Yeah.
is, a wrap up of a classic beloved character, that they would have put some more love and care into it. But I'm not sure if the pandemic had, or if I'm able to say that, sorry, if the happening had anything to do with the scripting of it, because everyone that I've spoken to at work here are saying that the second half kind of took a nosedive. It's just sad to see
Yeah,
that it
no,
wasn't as well received. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that because Harrison Ford, man, he was pumped. He was out there. He was like super jazzed that he was back. He thought it was a beautiful ending, in his opinion. And
I mean, just seeing him in, you know, Star Wars reprising his role as Han Solo, just him kind of dipping back and trying to put a cap on all of the his legacies, you know, that he's brought to us. It's just, you know, you win some, you lose some in the movies, and this one definitely was on the bottom for him. But you know, here's to moving forward. I hope he does well in the MCU as Red Hulk. But
yeah, no, it's super unfortunate.
sure.
Frank, how about you? You got another worst? Not even worst, but just ones that like you just work for you as well.
Yeah, well, I guess I could say I would just put out there, in a sense, definitely the last voyage of the Demeter. Despite the fact that it does feel pretty unique, it's like one of those tales. Obviously, it's a Dracula tale, and so. But you know, besides that, there were still, it does still carry like questions that you just can't help but ask yourself, like, okay, what was this for? Basically, not much as to like why. But one of the characters, the only the only female character that's there among the crew, like yeah, the you kind of get, you understand, and you're explained why she ended up there, and she is a victim of the monster, in this case Dracula. But also, like, wow, it's pretty difficult to ponder. I think also like where else would it go from here, as far as her, because she is, I think she's one of the victims from Transylvania, where she was from, and that's basically that's basically all I can think about. I know I talked a little bit more in my review about it, for sure, because that's the only critique that I had. I may have another one that I can't remember, but that's just it. But just to add a little bit with the Dial of Destiny, I feel like what would have helped more is if Ke Huy Quan was there again, reprising his role, because Temple of Doom is one of my favorite Indiana Jones, and it would have been just amazing if he was there reprising his role alongside with Harrison Ford again. I'm just throwing that out there.
If only his return to Hollywood fame had happened just a little bit sooner, they totally would have gotten him in there.
Oh,
totally would have done it, and they missed it.
Yeah.
Missed their window. Dark Movies, how about you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Frank and
no, I was gonna say I can't wait to see him in Loki season 2. So.
Oh yeah, man, me too.
Yeah, Loki season 2. Yeah. So, I just to say this, Air or Last Voyage of the Meteor, I actually really enjoyed. More probably than you guys, but now with the worst. I will keep this short. Heart of Stone. I watched it in Netflix with my family. I will keep this short. Like I said, I forgot about the movie. I have no memory of this movie. I have no memories of this movie. Like, I'm sorry, Gal Gadot, but I think, yeah, Gal Gadot is the only thing I remember. She's in it. That's everything I remember, honestly. And just to say, also, just Black Demon. Black Demon was just a standard shark movie, honestly. But it did just terrible, honestly. It was not fun. It was just standard. I just, honestly, that also forgot. Forgot. I can't say much about it. I just forgot those movies.
I think that's the worst thing you could do for a movie is say that it's forgettable. So I think that definitely deserves to be on your list then, man. For me, like I said, I didn't hate any movie I saw this summer, but there were definitely some that I enjoyed more than others. One of my worst, I'm going to do The Little Mermaid. I don't think that it is a bad movie. I think that Halle Bailey was fantastic as Ariel. And I thought a lot of the song sequences too were a lot of fun, especially the under the sea stuff, which I know some people I've seen say that the movie actually got better for them once they left the water. For me, the movie got worse for me once they left the water. I felt the under the sea sequences were some of the more fun moments of Little Mermaid. The romance really just did not work for me. I felt no chemistry between the two
I
leads,
agree.
and I really don't think that they did much more than the original cartoon did to build the chemistry with the characters. And I feel like when you go from a hour and 20-ish minute animated movie to a 2 hour live action movie, you can't just play the scenes the same way. They don't adapt, they don't translate the same way from cartoon to live action. And that was a lot of the problems I had. And it was kind of the epitome of the Disney live action movies that I have problems with. Is I felt like there was nothing really to offer from that movie except point at the screen and say, that's just like the animated, but now it's live action.
Right.
Like there was so much in that movie that felt incredibly rushed and incredibly underdeveloped because they did it exactly like like Giant Ursula. Fun to see a gigantic Melissa McCarthy on screen. Don't get me wrong. Like I was hoping to get that, but they didn't let the scene breathe. They didn't let that whole thing play out long enough, and they didn't develop it enough for a live action movie. It just kind of came out of nowhere, kind of like the animated movie did, but it works better in that format to me, at least. And yeah, there was just some things that just adapting it from animation to live action just did not work. Like, and there was also changes that I was like, how did you think that that was better? Like in the animated original, Ariel and her friends go up to see Scuttle the bird. Why did Scuttle the bird come down into her water where the freaking bird can't breathe and talk to her for like 20 minutes? Like if you want it to feel realistic, if you're going to do photorealistic animals, you can't put them in environments that are not realistic in our world if you're going to be that realistic with them. So there was a lot about Little Mermaid that just did not work for me, but the songs and Halle Bailey's performance is definitely the ones that did work for me. But overall, I was very disappointed with that movie. Anyone
Yeah,
want to-
I mean, just talking about Little Mermaid, it's funny because I wouldn't know where to place it, good or bad, because there's things I like, things I don't like. And what you said about the timing of it, it kind of put a light bulb in my head, because now we're talking about them adding things to the movie that wasn't there, and those are some of the things that I had a problem with. So, like for instance, God, I love him so much, but Lin-Manuel Miranda, man, that Scuttlebutt song,
Oh no!
Wait, wait.
That's career ending.
What are you saying? Scuttlebutt song was amazing. What are you saying?
And I'm
Sorry,
about
man,
to
I
friend
can't.
you.
I can't.
Wait, which
I
one?
was
Which
in.
one was that?
It was just like, what the heck are they doing? And then
One of the new
even
ones.
I'm sorry, now you got me talking, you got me rambling. The scene with Prince Eric and like his little song afterwards, I'm like, we don't need that.
I wanted to
Yeah.
sleep.
He
We
was the
don't
worst part of
need
the
that.
movie.
Like when his conversation with the king and queen was enough. I understand that there's things that the island does outside and you're looking after your interests. I get it. You don't have to sing about it, how you're longing. Please stop. Anyway, but Scuttlebutt, that is unforgivable. I was like, if
Oh,
he ever
no.
does a song like that
Yeah.
again, I don't know, man. That
The-
could,
So
The
there's two
remake-
things there. I'm
Oh.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the remake of Pinocchio when it launched on Disney Plus did a similar concept where they just threw in something random and new just to make it feel new, and
Right.
I just feel like that was the intention for Disney. But you know, there are times when we just don't ask for that. We just wanted to have it just reimagined, remade in a live action. You know, the story that we know, and that's it. Period. So.
I think that's part of the problem in the first place, is that no one's asking for these movies in general. Now, whether or not they turn out to be good or bad, that's on their own merit. But if it does turn out to be bad, you can automatically say, well, nobody asked for this, so why did you do it? But if it turns out to be good, then hey, you're a welcome addition. Like, I'm one of the people who really enjoyed Aladdin. I thought Aladdin was really good.
I like that one too.
Yeah, and also I feel like Little Mermaid, I actually really enjoyed that movie. It's just not something I can put on a best list or a worst list. I think it's fine. you know. And just like you, Jason, like it's on neither one of the best or worst lists. It's okay. But I just have to say this. Scuttlebutt, that song was dope. I was in the theater, I was rocking with it. I will say one thing though, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a little one note. He doesn't change his flow ever.
Thank you.
It's the same every single time.
It's the I
Come
called
on,
it
bud.
the
Let's do something else.
I called
But
it the Eminem flow.
that-
Whenever there's a character
Yeah.
in a Disney movie rapping like Eminem, he had a
Mhm.
hand in it.
I think what I've learned the most from this
Yeah.
conversation is that I'm not giving Ken the aux cord in my car ever because he's just gonna put on Scuttlebutt. So that's not happening. But we're
Oh,
almost
no.
out of time
Yeah.
for today's show, guys.
Mhm.
So let's just quickly let's do one more best to end it on a positive note, and then give a rating of the summer movie season from a 1 to 10. 1 being bad summer season, 10 being like the best summer season ever. So let's start with Frank. One more best, and then how would you rate this summer season?
Yeah, so one more best. I'm gonna throw out there No Hard Feelings. I just mentioned that around the beginning. It's an absolute, summer comedy. I love Jennifer Lawrence, and I have not. I mean, really, this does feel like a first comedy movie with Jennifer Lawrence in it. I mean, she's just extremely hilarious in life, really, and she's everybody. She could be everybody's best friend, neighbor that you can just invite over, and you can allow her to just have all your snack. But she does an amazing job as the lead there. Both her and her co-star did awesome. Yeah, that's all I could say. And a rating for overall summer as far as movies that I've seen, it would be, I give it a 7.0. Yeah, an absolute 7 for sure.
Awesome. All right, Dark Movies, how about you? One more best, and then rate the summer season.
I will say actually Extraction 2 for me. It's honestly just the action sequences in this movie. There was some just insane action sequence, and the 21 minutes, was it 21 minutes? One take,
21
yeah.
minutes. Mhm.
That was insane. Just like
Yeah.
it was like, I don't know. Have you guys seen it? Can I say something?
I've seen it.
Okay, no, okay. It was just amazing, and just was the enjoyable. I just had the most fun time. Just the characters, the everything. Honestly, just everything. Honestly, just a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I didn't even see the flaws. So, and overall in the summer seasons, there were mostly good movies, but there were some bad ones. Honestly, a lot of bad ones for me. But I will give it a 8. 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Ken, how about you? One more best, and then rate.
Sure. So my last best is They Clone Tyrone. It's absolutely amazing.
That
It's
was
a
good.
great movie. It does exactly what I wanted Barbie to do, which is give its message through actions instead of just stopping the movie and espousing the message. This movie actually told it through the actions of the characters and the different motivations of the characters that showed up throughout the movie. So I really enjoyed They Clone Tyrone. Yeah, and and I'm glad that you mentioned Extraction 2 Dark, because I was going to try to sneak it in because I couldn't choose between the two. But yeah, Extraction 2 is great. But anyway, my rating for the summer, I would also agree with Dark, is an 8. I mean, an 8 sounds low, but when you consider Oppenheimer and Barbie, for some, it's not one of mine, but Oppenheimer, Barbie, Turtles, Gran Turismo, Across the Spider-Verse, Flash, like there's so many great movies that came out during this summer season that I think are not getting the respect that they deserve just because the money wasn't there, that people didn't go out and see it. And money and quality have nothing to do with each other. So there were so many great movies that came out, and Bottoms as well. There's so many great movies that came out this summer season that I have to rate it pretty high at an 8.5. Yeah, so that's my answer there.
For sure, man. And Jason, how about you?
Sure. So Ken kind of stole mine, but I still say they cloned Tyrone, but for different reasons. So it's been a long, long time since I've seen a movie give me blaxploitation vibes, and I'm talking about like Shaft and Dolomite and things of that nature. And then even sprinkle some, conspiracy theory in there too. So
Yeah.
it was just a very well-made movie and very entertaining. Now for the summer, wrap up, I would have to give it a 7 out of 10. There was good ones, but also some not so great ones. But if I had to compare to summers in general, it's not like the best summer thing. So it's kind of middle of the road for me.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's totally fair, man. And I think for me, I mean, it's already been mentioned, but I can't go without mentioning it, and that is Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, that movie just kind of blew me away. And I wasn't even like the biggest fan of Into the Spider-Verse, like a lot of people are. Like, I just don't get on that high of the fandom as a lot of people do. But man, Across the Spider-Verse just blew me away. It was visually stunning. The story was fantastic. The characters were great. It had depth. It had excitement. It had emotion. It had such jaw dropping and just like give me the next movie kind of ending. So that definitely is the movie. That's probably still my favorite movie of the year. So definitely, I got to mention that for the summer. And yeah, this was a fun summer season. There was definitely some movies that let me down that I was really looking forward to. We mentioned a couple of them on here already with Indiana Jones, Little Mermaid, and stuff like that. But overall, I had a lot of fun. I was fulfilled. I think I'm gonna match Frank's. I think I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 for this summer. I thought it was a really, really fun one. All right, guys. And with that, that's going to be the show today. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this discussion. This was a really fun discussion.
Yeah.
We're going to let the people know where they can find you. We're going to start with Frank here. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Optimistic Forever with number 4 on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter X and Instagram. Also, I post there. And that's all.
All right, man. And Dark Movies?
So yeah, I am on X by the same name, DXRK. I know it's weird, but just Instagram, just X, just YouTube. I do movie reviews, update sometimes. Not done it in a while, but rankings and also for that and more coming. Yeah.
Amazing. We'll go with our newest member, Jason. Such a pleasure to have you here, man. It was so great meeting you and talking with you. Tell people where they can find you.
Sure. So I'm here on YouTube and on X. So both will be at Screen Zen Reviews. And yeah, thanks for having me. I'm definitely putting out more content and looking to grow my community. So thank you very much.
Amazing. And I love the Blu-rays back there, man. I love your collection you got going on there.
I'm trying to get more, guys. Like
Your setup
physical
looks
media.
great.
Let's go. Physical media.
It looks great, man. I love your setup.
Thank
All right, and Ken.
Hey. Hey, so I'm Ken from See For Yourself, where I tell you my opinions about movies, but still encourage you to make your own opinions on them. Or in other words, see for yourself. You'll find me here on YouTube as well as X and Instagram as well. But for the most part, if you want to find my content, you'll find it on YouTube. I'm running a movie marathon right now that's one movie from every year between 1970 to present. And I can't wait to tell you guys about the newest movie I'll be reviewing called The Mechanic. That review will be out this week, and I hope to see you there.
Amazing, dude. And yeah, guys, all their links down in the description below, as mentioned before. So definitely click on their names, head on over to their channel, spread the love and support. And now the question goes to you guys. This summer movie season, what was some of the best? What were some of your worst? And how would you rate this summer season from a 1 to a 10? Comment down below and let us know.